welcome you all to our Wednesday session for Pennsylvania Ag Ed 360 and 60. This is going to be on horticulture. Today is April 15th, and this is the morning session. And just to remind you all that if you have specific questions, you can put them in the chat box. We'll be monitoring that through. Resources can go into the chat box. We'll be forwarding out those resources after the session. And if there's any questions or concerns, just let me know. And have at it, folks. So what's our first question or item folks would like to share?
I'll jump in here, Beth. Can you hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm curious, and I'm sure it's $1 million question. How's everyone doing plant sale? More so, I'm curious, my administration's asking me what other ag teachers are doing, knowing that we're connected. So I would love to hear what your districts are allowing you / not allowing you to do, because I have over 1,000 plants and I really do not want them sitting there through June.
Well, Katie, I was going in every day opening. Oh, I lost you. Hang on a second. Opening and closing the greenhouse, watering everything, which when the stay-at-home order came, I have 2 greenhouses at home. So we brought everything to my house in our 2 greenhouses. And then we're going to do the, are you there?
We can still hear you.
Okay.
You're good. I hear you.
Okay. So anyway, there we go. So what we're doing is we're going to do 15-minute time slots. We've posted everything like on our Butterfly Facebook page. I'm sending out emails, posting on my Facebook page. We're going to do 15-minute time slots where they can come. Should have a list ready so we can get the majority of things ready, but we'll have things outside our greenhouse as well. And that's how we're going to do it. And then I'll just take whatever I can sell, whatever I can make, I'll take back to the school. I know a lot of people don't have the ability to take things home. I lucked out in that sense where I do, but I do know, I was talking to Mr. Brown the other day, Sharisa and Sarah Beth literally had to throw everything in the dumpster. And they took so, but
okay.
my district said $3,000 worth of plants we don't want to throw out. So I was like, yeah, about that.
But they wouldn't let customers on school property and then the greenhouse, though. Is that correct? If you didn't have your resource?
We really didn't go down that road, other than they didn't want people like coming to the school, if it wasn't necessary. So when we thought we were going back to school, he's like, oh, well, you can bring it all back. And I was like, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, by that point, it's all blooming. I don't want it to die. It's done really well here, and I've had a lot of interest and people emailing me, and because we always get calls, and people are saying, well, when are you going to do your plant sale? Well, we're still going to do it. It's just going to be somewhat modified, I guess. But they did not want extra people on property.
And is your greenhouse attached to your school, or is it detached?
I actually have 2. I have a glass house that is attached to the school, and I have a poly house which is detached. So like I said, I had tons and tons and tons of plants, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with all this? And luckily, I had the resource to take it home, but otherwise it would have stayed there and we would have watered it until they said, well, either yes, you can have your sale, or no, it goes in the dumpster.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Christy.
Okay, next question. Concern, piece of advice. So folks, for those of you who don't know, Mary Warsbaugh is one of our student teachers currently. She's student teaching at Ole Valley. Hey, Carol. And she is starting to teach horticulture for the last 2 weeks of her student teaching experience. Mary, do you have any questions? We had some great horticulture teachers here.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So before this whole thing happened, I started teaching like the actual plant science class, and I was teaching that for a couple weeks, and we started with the greenhouse and doing all that stuff, which was really fun. And then this whole thing happened. So for the plant science class, I sort of moved to go on to ICEV and are doing classes through that. But I'm also teaching an intro to 8th grade class. And like Beth said, student teaching ends next Friday. So there's really only one more week of planning left. But for the 8th graders, I'm doing a 2-week unit on plant science. And so this week I sort of just had like a little bit of intro to plants, and I sort of made a web quest kind of thing for them to go on with different websites. They would find stuff and then they like create a PowerPoint with their favorite plant and different things like that. But with the 8th grade classes, it's like a music class or a gym class. I can't remember what the word is to call it, but like an extra class kind of thing. So when I'm giving them assignments, I want it to be sort of fun for them, so that when they get to the high school, they want to take plant science and think that it's a fun class. So I'm just looking if you guys had any cool resources that you think would be a good resource for like an intro to plant science class. And I only have 5 more days of instruction with them. But if you had any things that you really liked using that would work for an 8th grade class.
Mary, one of the things that I like to do with my freshman class is they have online, it's called the Cell Wrap, and it's this lady who makes it up for her 5th grade class, but it's hysterical, and the kids always roll their eyes, my upperclassmen roll their eyes at me, and they're like, seriously? But the kids remember it if they go and listen to the Cell Wrap, and it's only 3 or 4 minutes long, but it's after we use Cells Alive online, which it's part of the CASE AF&R curriculum, I believe, but they have all of the PowerPoints, and there's a PowerPoint, there's a worksheet, I think, or like a packet, and you just print it off. It's maybe not as fun, but you can click through the cell and learn all about it, and you don't really need the packet with it. So that might be something you could do, if you want to start at the very basic step. I'll see if I can find the link and send you the link for the Cell Wrap too.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, Mary. I'm a big advocate and have been with this new online learning situation of just getting the kids outside. So my kids are all upperclassmen in plant science. So a modification would be just getting them outside. If you're doing anything with soil, we're in that right now, have them go outside, pick up some soil and just do like a feel texture test. They put in their hands, add a little water, feel around, see if they can determine the sand, silt, and clay. I mean, that can be a really simple activity. Going outside and just doing a couple of like plant ID, like snap 3 pictures and find these different facts online about the plants that are outside your house. Maybe it's saying, hey, here's a size container and I want you to come up with 2 vegetables you would plant in it. They need to be complementary plants. And, give me X, Y, and Z about it. I like Burpee Seeds website because they have a lot of good growing information at the bottom. It's an easy resource for them to use. So those are a couple of things I know I've done with my high schoolers, just a little bit more in depth, but could get them outside. I had them, if they have any like Roundup at their house or potting soil or anything that would have directions, I had them go out, again, kind of tailor towards their classmate and say, like, I want you to read the back of your potting soil or your Roundup or your seed packet. And what information does it tell you? So those are a couple that I challenge my kiddos with.
Thank you.
If nothing else, go to agednet.com. They've got a lot of lessons there if you haven't been on it, and look what they've got.
Awesome. Thank you all for your help.
Another thing that you could do, Mary, is if you are getting into flower reproduction with them a little bit, so you could probably find like the picture on AgEdNet or some of the other online resources. You can ask the kids, and it's make it optional, but they could, maybe they have daffodils or tulips growing in their yard, have them pick one that's, you know, starting to go past its prime. They can rip that apart and dissect it and find the male and female parts inside. And they could take pictures of it and have them email them to you, you know, like where they label the parts. And I'm not sure how much grading you have to do, but it's another, again, walk outside, find a flower, take it apart sort of thing. You could also do, like if you're talking about like the leaf texture or the leaf shape, they have to go gather up the leaves and label them, and again, take a picture and they upload it to you. Would be another, or, you know, find the leaf and label the parts of the leaf kind of thing. And let's see. Katie also says weed ID in their flower beds. Yep, that's a good one too.
Awesome. These are all great ideas. Thank you.
So I see we've had a number of folks join us. Just again, as a reminder, we are being recorded for those that have joined us a little later. Are there any questions, concerns, or sharing that folks want to continue on with?
These projects, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Sweet. These projects would be awesome. There we are. Oh, my hair's a mess. I'm going off. These projects would be awesome foundational. These projects would be awesome foundational SAE projects for your kids. And also SAEforall.org has beginning project information that you can work kids through, or that kids can work through. If you need help with any of that, let me know. And I've been posting videos, or been making the videos, and Mike Brammer has been posting them to paffa.org/association under SAE. And we just posted 2 new ones today. So take a look and send your kids there. They're step-by-step 10-minute videos, and they're pretty helpful, is what I'm hearing.
Thanks, Carol. Any others folks out there having some specific questions or something that's really working for you that you want to share?
I'll throw something out there and I'll pose it as a question as well as an idea. So I'm not sure if anyone else does the private pesticide applicator certification with their high schoolers. I know I usually offer that over our Keystone Testing Week in May and then can administer that test in the classroom. Is anyone still planning, if you do utilize the certification, is anyone still planning on giving that certification? And then do you know if we're allowed to convert that hard copy test to a digital version? And I can always reach out to the guy at PDA if not. I wasn't sure if anyone has looked into it already.
Katie, they do have to be 18 to take that, right?
16, I believe.
Oh, is it 16 now? Okay.
Yeah.
I was under the
16.
impression it was 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have had sophomores in the class that weren't 16, that the gentleman that I work with said that they could take it. And then as soon as they turn 16, if it's within a year, I could send that in. When I first started, I got it from Ryan King because I took it as his student. They just mailed a PDF version of basically what you take at a farm and home extension center to me. And then I got the pesticide education modules that Kelly Laurie put together. And I set them up, we use Canvas as our learning management system, and I set them up as individual modules. So the kids had to go through, watch the modules, take a little post-test as a review. And we did that. I think it ended up being a week and a half. We're on block scheduling. And then I give them 2 days of study, and then we take the test. And like I said, I did over Keystone testing because we always had a wonky schedule, and then the kids could self-pace, which worked out pretty well. So that's how I had it set up, and I wasn't sure if I was going to try to endure that during this time or not. So I was curious if anyone else did that and if they were also going to try it.
Katie.
I had given that kind of thing in the past, and I thought that would have been a really cool opportunity to try this year. But I guess I wasn't aware that as a teacher, I was allowed to administer the test. That only ever had somebody come from the Department of Agriculture, and they were in the room like proctoring it. Nobody had ever given me an actual like test per se. I was going to, on my list of things, look on PA plants or connect up with somebody if I could virtually to see if they were allowing pesticide applicator tests to still take place, because I know the PDA offices are closed. But yeah, I wasn't aware that as an ag teacher, I was allowed to proctor the test, and I'm not sure that I've seen the modules that you're referencing. I've seen a lot of their stuff on the Penn State Pest Ed website, but I guess I haven't seen the entire set of modules set up like a self-study. But I think that could be an awesome opportunity. I'd love to check some of that stuff out if you have it available.
Yeah, I'm actually digging in emails in my Google Drive now. So so again, the reason I knew about it is because I asked Ryan King, because he used to administer it. And at one point we were required to go to the extension office. And I'm trying to find the name of the guy I originally reached out to. And then he said, because we are certified ag teachers, that we were allowed to administer it. So like I said, he sent me PDF copies of the instructions and the tests that, again, you'd probably see at your extension office. As far as the modules go, I set them up as modules. So with the Pest Ed, they give you the PowerPoint, and then they give you the like video voiceover of the PowerPoint. And I just took the links for each of them, and in Canvas, and I'm not sure how Schoology and Google Classroom work, but in Canvas, you can set up like a page, and I give the students the link. I give them the objectives. I give them the pages in that blue pesticide education textbook that if they want to do additional reading, and then I give them a little follow-up quiz. And then they move on to the next one. So then hopefully by the end, they have an introduction to all of it. And then if they really want to get that certification, I tell them, you know, these are the pages you need to utilize. Knowing you have 3 hours, open book. And then the kids who really want to get it, study and utilize that time. And then I do curve it. I put it in as a test grade for the students, maybe the ones that aren't interested in really studying, getting that certification. And I just put it on a little bit of a curve. So if they get a certain percent, it's a little bit higher in the grade books. And it does require some time to really prepare for that. Oh, thanks for sharing that resource. That's awesome. So I'll see what I can dig up.
So there's some stuff in our chat box here that I just want to quickly draw everybody's attention to. And I'm going to jump around on it. So Neil mentioned that he thought that pesticide testing might be shut down to the best of his knowledge. I don't know, Neil, if you want to elaborate on that or anything, but just as a note there in case you don't hear back from folks. And also Leanna has shared how does it grow videos. She uses how does it grow videos in her classroom. So there's a link for that. And she's also shared the Google Doc for the pesticide information as well, with links to the modules. So I will be emailing that out to you. Oh, okay, so here Neil says that Jeffrey Miller is our regional pesticide test contact for his area. And Carol's saying to look at PDA. So good information and great ideas if it's available to use. That's awesome. Oh, and Neil just gave us another link here.
Yeah, that link is to the PDA, and it talks about the pesticide testing and then talks about all the licensing extensions that they gave if people need credits or or need to pay their licensing stuff. So it's all on that page.
Okay, so Leanna, if you can allow views on your Google Doc, that would be awesome. Melanie says that it's telling her to request that she needs access from you. Carol also had a good idea, sort of related to pesticide, but on the side is that an activity you can have your students do is go out and look for spotted lanternflies and eggs in their area if you live in an area that's prone to. Okay. And build a homemade sticky trap. Awesome. These are great ideas being shared. So does anybody have another question or so that they want to share? Okay. Well, I started looking through some stuff to share. John and I are trying to have something to share at each webinar as well. Some of you may have a copy of this book, Bottle Biology. But the point of why I was kind of going for it is a lot of kids right now have soda cans at home or soda bottles at home or water bottles. And there's a lot of different activities that you can do within this. This is an outdated book, but it just kind of made me think about, like, you can do hydroponics, you can do soil science with a water bottle at home that students might be able to utilize. And again, if you kind of do a Google search online, some activities do show up. I know that some of you that have been on already with John, he's mentioned that we are creating a database of teaching resources. And the problem that we're having right now is that some of those resources have been shared with us, but when we click on them, we have to get permission to open them, very similar to what you guys just experienced with the pesticide stuff. So we can't push it out just yet, or we'll have a lot of frustrated teachers on our hands asking for access to something. But I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what this sort of looks like. And so can you see my screen? Okay, good. So if you can see, we have it organized into topics as well as subtopics. So we have our ag business, animal systems, and all that kind of going through. So as I said, as I click on some of these, we can't access them just yet. So we're working on some situations there. But one of the resources that I can access, and I think has been in the newsletter, and I will forward it out there, is University of Minnesota has a nice database that they've shared with us. So they have everything on a Google Drive. And they have a variety of different options. I went through and was pulling out the plant systems. And they have it broken down in floriculture and horticulture and greenhouse landscaping. I'm going to go ahead and jump to something that I picked. I picked the hydroponics column because there were a couple ideas. And again, it kind of goes back to the bottle biology. But if the kids happen to have seeds, or if there's a way that you can get seeds to the students, an easy activity that you can do that they can do at home to create the hydroponic system would be something cool to do with them, more hands-on than just the worksheets. So there's also this would be a little bit harder to get to them, but another option with the hydroponic system too. I see we got some folks in the chat boxes here. Oh, I actually didn't create that. Tiffany is the one that's creating the database for everybody. We had talked about doing it, and Tiffany, our grad student, is the one that's kind of doing all that. And I'm going to stop the sharing and come back. So, I'm looking here more at the your chat box here, and we have the compost pile, which is a great one. And let's see what else. We have the AgEdNet is free. Congratulations to Melanie and Darla, National Teacher FFA Ambassadors. And we got another one on here, online CDEs or registration for floriculture. Nice. Any other questions, concerns, things to share? I will definitely get the link here put in for the Minnesota one. I'm hoping that that will. Okay, well, any other questions or? All right, well, if we're good, I know everybody's time is valuable and I don't want to waste waste time, but I'm also happy to stay on and give you guys an opportunity to talk about other things. So Carol, has any of you teaching floral design?
Yes, I am, Carol. What do you got for me?
Nothing yet. I'm doing some research. Hang on. There is a Ridner, I think it's Ridner or Redner Floral Design School in Boston.
Okay.
I'm looking for that link. Hang on.
Yeah, for floral design, I haven't dug much into it, but I want to set a week aside to look at it. I saw the color wheel for floral design. Some art classes were doing that, where they had students go get objects throughout their house and actually make a color wheel out of multiple objects. I don't know if you guys saw that at all. So I think I might try to incorporate something like that. But as far as giving the kids that hands-on opportunity, still struggling a little bit there. So I'm excited to see what you come up with here, Carol. No pressure.
I was just looking at that resource that I shared with you guys in there, and they have a section on floriculture. And I'll reshare my screen with you for a second, just to so you can take a peek. And so it's broken down. We have design principles, design projects, event project planning, floral, parts of the plant and flower, and recorded lectures. So if we go into design principles or design projects, let's see. That didn't quite open. I feel like everything's running a little slower than or it could just be on my internet too. So this is making paper flowers out of, which is, again, not quite what we're going for, but it does kind of get them doing something a little bit more creative.
Beth, I also posted a link in the chat bar there for a site that Illinois put up. And that'll take you directly to a site that has all types of virtual learning resources, from just general resources and links to other states, to miscellaneous, to ag business, ag safety, animal science, plant science, mechanics. It's a pretty impressive site that Illinois put together a few weeks ago.
These are all,
And Beth, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Beth, I know you said this, but I think my mind was reading. The resource you guys are putting, or I should say Tiffany's going to put together, they're not shared out yet, correct?
Some of them have been
Okay.
newsletter. So like some of the links we've been getting, I'm sure you guys probably too, on different listservs are getting bombarded with links. And so
Yeah.
we started compiling them.
Okay.
Tiffany, like I said, organized that spreadsheet. We were going to send it out, and then we realized that as we started clicking on it, some of the items didn't open.
Okay.
Or it would say we needed permission. And so we're working through those challenges at the moment. But if they did open, they've been in the past newsletters.
Yeah.
I'll say this Tuesday, I took out a bunch that had already been in for several weeks, just because it was getting way too long, and we were kind of hitting our limit. So I took out the older stuff. But if you go back like a week or two in the newsletters, there's like some of the, like I said, the older stuff is there. But my fingers crossed, I would really love for you guys to have this by the end of this week, or it would be, and we also put it in the newsletter on Tuesday. Because
no, that's fine. I just want to make sure with all the links we were sending out, I didn't miss it somewhere. Thank you.
No, and we'll make a big deal out of it once it goes.
Yeah, you better after all that work.
Yeah. So it's just like I said, when I click on some of the resources, it'll say, you need permission to access. And so we're not sure if it is how Google works, or Google Drive works with, if it's not set to anybody can view, then
yeah,
like it only went to certain people's emails, and trying that back is a little bit much. And then like some of us are able to access it, and some of us aren't, because they might have been on or like their email might have been on the original email. And so it's kind of a mess. But like I said, hopefully soon we will be able to get that out there. It's just nobody quite realized it until we, like Tiffany has access to everything. It's the rest of us that are, as we started playing with it, realized like, oh, that doesn't quite work.
No, that's fine. Thank you. And thank you again for all the work with it. It's much appreciated.
No problem. All right. So Carol's got some more stuff in there in the chat. You could ask kids to find pictures of design shapes, or different shapes, different color patterns, and terrariums and dish gardens. That's always fun. And if you want to add like more components to it, you could have the kids, make a terrarium or something that like a salamander would live in, and kind of hit the natural resources piece too. Any other questions, concerns, pieces of advice? Something not about horticulture. You can if you have a question, you can ask about that as well. Okay, well, like I said before, I really want to be respectful of your time. If you don't have, if we're all good, we can wrap it up now. Happy to do that. Glad you guys stopped by to share and talk. I will post this video onto the Teach Ag YouTube channel, as well as email all of you the group chat out so you all have it. So before I disconnect, or not disconnect, but stop the recording, any other last questions, things that want to be shared? Okay, so I'm going to stop recording.